Peace, family. Bear with us as we watch a quick commercial. Peace and Black Power, family. It's your Harlem educator, author, and activist, the Black Liberation Coach, Brother Agyei Tyehimba. I want to remind everyone that you can see our show at Black Liberation or Harlem Liberation School online. And the platforms that you will see these shows on would be my Facebook page, and it would be Periscope through Instagram. Thank you again for joining us at the place where we give foundational Black political education. We bring Africana studies to the hood in a way that is accessible and not over anyone's head. And we appreciate all your support. Peace. Peace and Black Power, family. It's your brother Agyei Tyehimba broadcasting live from Harlem, New York City. I hope everyone is at peace, in good health and good spirits, ready to put in that work that we need to protect and advance our families, our communities, our organizations, and this world that's desperately in need of good leadership, family. Desperately in need of good leadership. Speaking of that, I think that's a good segue to give shouts out to our ancestor, beloved ancestor, wonderful activist and community organizer, more of a community leader though. And that's the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was born this day in 1929. And as many of us know, was ruthlessly, unethically, and immorally killed, assassinated, murdered by white folk of this government operating with complicity of the government. And on April 4th, 1968, I was still in my mother's womb on that day and would be born approximately 3 weeks later. Born in a time of war and revolution, and it's only fitting, you know. I give shout and salutation to our brother because though our politics probably are not exactly similar, I believe we share love for Black people and a love for freedom, justice, and equity. And the brother was certainly fearless. You got to give him that. The brother, Dr. King, I don't care what you say about him, the man was fearless. He was arrested close to 40 times for things such as innocuous as driving a few miles too slow, in a certain street, just ridiculous stuff. This man was harassed, and you have to also understand that this man was thrust into local and national leadership at 25 years of age. Now, I want all of you right now to think about what you were doing when you were 25 years old. What were you doing? Were you running some local organization, leading some mass movement that was ultimately successful and that thrust you into national and international prominence? No, you were not. So if you can understand that, you can understand this brother was a bad, bad man. And we mean in our vernacular, a good man. There's all types of conspiracy theories about what he did, none of which have been brought to light with evidence. So I have to go on what I know. And I just want to salute the brother. Here's an example of what happens when you take the sort of Christian dynamic or some type of religious dynamic and you fuse it with a social gospel that comes now out of the book, out of the church, out of your Bible study, and takes it to the larger community and engages our people, man, and fills them with a sense of somebodyness, and takes these biblical verses that are written in God knows in antiquity and makes them living, breathing documents. This is what can happen when you have people that are operating on a liberation theology and not just, Jesus said and Paul said. No, we need more than that today. So I salute the brother. No matter what my misgivings are with him, no matter what my critiques are of him, who am I? What have I done that outflanked what he did? So I have to bow down to that man. He deserves it. And with that said, family, thank you for joining us. Let me start. I see some comments. I see my baby girl Brenda Hilaire says, "Wakusu, my love and family." We shout her out, of course. And we also want to remind you all that she has started a new nonprofit called Sweet Transitions. You might want to check that out on Facebook. And if you type in Sweet Transitions, Sweet, not in terms of candy, but sweet as in a hotel suite, SUITE transitions. You'll find it also online. You might want to donate or just read more about it and see how you can help out. William Hodges says he was 2 years old. Yes, yes, he knows what I'm talking about. We got brother Marlon Townsend in the building. Peace, brother. Now, let us begin. Now, family, today, if you look at the ticker that is kind of scrolling on the bottom of your screen, you will notice a kind of an announcement that I have my fifth book is coming out during Black History Month. And it's telling you that I'm completing this fifth book. It's about grassroots leadership and community organizing, right? Now, many of you know about this book I written some time ago, but this book is similar, but it was written specifically for Black college student leaders, like black student union leaders on college campuses, kind of giving them the ins and outs of the things they would have to do, their history, things like that. And quite a few, I've gotten really tremendous feedback on this. If you go to Amazon.com, you'll see the reviews. People on college, students on college campuses, former student leaders have weighed in and said the book is really tremendous. That all student organizations, some people said should buy the book, not just even Black student organizations. But this book that's coming out for Black History Month is taking it further because this book focuses on college students, family. This new book is looking at you and I, people that are out of college, people that's in their 30s, middle-aged folks, people starting organizations, people that are leaders already or officers in organizations, people that are rank and file members of organizations, but they think they might want to try their hand at leadership. It's for all those people and even more. And what I'm talking about today is really a very abbreviated bit of information that comes out of this book. I have not even named the book yet, but I could tell you it's going to be about 300 pages. I could tell you that. It's serious, family. And I hope you check it out. I'll be keeping you informed on the book. Let's get into it. Emotional intelligence. Now, hold on 1 second, because what I wanted to do is make sure I anchor this properly. Give me 1 second, okay? And pardon me for the delay. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is read to you a part, the introduction of that chapter, 9 Rules of Emotional Intelligence. It reads like this, family. We've all encountered argumentative, self-absorbed, and merciless leaders and organizers. Such individuals can't seem to communicate appropriately, demonstrate sincerity, or respond to situations appropriately. They make people uncomfortable and manage to create and escalate conflict. Needless to say, deficiencies like these are serious matters that make great leadership almost impossible to achieve. In 1990, two researchers, Peter Salovey and John Mayer, created a language to describe what such individuals lack. They called it emotional intelligence. According to the Institute for Health and Human Potential, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, and to recognize, understand, and manage others' emotions. Psychologist Daniel Goleman, considered an authority on the subject, suggests that emotional intelligence consists of 5 components: self awareness, self regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. When we have high emotional intelligence, we are better able to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflicts. Right? Now, that sets us or grants us in a basic definition and basic understanding of it. I think it's important for people to realize that, hey, brother Carl, thank you, man. Peace. Glad to see you, but I gotta give you a call, man. I was just telling the queen like 2 weeks ago, I got to call brother Carl, see how he's doing. So I'm gonna catch up with you, brother. Thank you, and congratulations on your book as well. Um, Emotional intelligence, family. is one of those things in our community. You know how we are with things like abuse, things like incest, things like that. Oh, that's taboo. We don't talk about. And it winds up hurting us and burning our whole house down because we think by hiding the knowledge, right, that we protected the family. And we're not realizing by hiding that knowledge and refusing to engage some of these subjects, we're actually creating more calamity and chaos. Well, a lot of times, we grew up in situations where parents and teachers kind of had complete authority and there was nothing reining them in. So your parent will beat you down and tell you to do something, and and you might say, well, why does it have to be done right now? Pop, you don't ask me, y'all know what I'm talking about. It was kind of a do as I say, not as I do. No questions, there's no debate, and this is what it is. And our comedians, our entertainers make this way of operating, this culture seem permissible, cool. And to some degree, there are benefits. But I want y'all to now think about when you go to workplaces and places of business and you're dealing now with adults and people who are not under your jurisdiction and there's no power dynamic where you're over them. They're your equals, right? They might be your supervisor. It might be a coworker. And now you're taking that same sort of culture that you practice in your home, which technically is dysfunctional, by the way, and you bring it to a workplace now, a business place. It doesn't work, family. It doesn't work there because in those places there is an expectation that regardless of what you feel, you're going to conduct yourself a certain way. You're going to speak a certain way. You're not going to be yelling and cursing people out, right? How you gonna get contracts and stuff like that, cursing people out who disagree with you or sucking your teeth and rolling your eyes? No, we don't get down like that in the workplace. And we shouldn't really get down like that in our homes because the workplace shouldn't take more precedence and shouldn't have higher priority than our home. We got it backwards. We treat our relative strangers better than we treat the people we see every day. There's something wrong with that, and that has to be changed. But it's all a reflection of lack of or deficit in emotional intelligence. Now, this is not to beat nobody up because I start with myself. And I'm terrible at emotional intelligence. I am learning, and I think I made a few inroads. I got a ways to go, but I'm learning because, like many Black men in this country and world, we grow up with rage, family. We grow that testosterone and that rage and the way we're treated and talked about. And man, it can. Your brothers know what I'm talking about, right? So this is not a beat up session. This is a heat up session. This is to help you understand the poison that is in us so we can get rid of it. So if anyone goes from this, oh, he made me feel bad, then you got the wrong message and I don't know what to do for you. This is not coming from that spirit of saying, yo, this is the problems we have and these are ways to kind of work through them and around them. Now, this subject is so broad, family, it's so deep that it is not enough. This little thing I'm doing right now doesn't even touch the tip of the iceberg. You owe yourself, your mates, your family members, your co-workers, your community members, you owe them to do due diligence and get a book and actually read and really go to YouTube and study emotional intelligence, family. Everything we can't do real quick. I'm sorry to tell you that. Some things you got to put time into, right? So promise yourself, okay, Agyei gives me a little basic thing, but I want to know more. Why? Because intelligence and talent are not always the best predictors of success. Emotional intelligence, they say, is a great predictor of success. How well you can get along with people. When people leave you, do they feel inspired? Do they feel crushed? Do people want to work harder and stay up, not eat and stay up past their bedtime? Or do they want to leave early? That's emotional intelligence. That's a connection you make with people. That's how you make people feel. That's people trusting your leadership and your word because they see how you get down, right? So these are things that you cannot dismiss this. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care what your political position is, family. This is something that is invaluable, and we must, if we're poor at this, and I would be willing to bet most of us watching this are poor at it because we were taught to be this way. The enemy made sure that we would not be able to solve our problems, know how to be poised under pressure. Not get all frazzled and okay. Nah, poised under pressure. We got this. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we do it. We need you to do this. Make it happen. We were taught to lose it. We were taught to stress, to worry over everything, lose sleep, family. This is affecting our health. I want you to feel me on this. This sounds like some okey doke thing. I know, but it's not. It's not. It's real. So please follow me. Please make a commitment to learn more on your own because I'm not an expert on this. I am far from it, and I am pretty much working on this within myself. All right. So we got our definition. Let me say from the jump that some of these images were animated GIFs, and this program does not allow you to see the animation. But this one was funny with Sam Jackson when he was moving. But the first thing I'm going to say, the first rule of emotional intelligence, and I say rule lightly. There are many more things. I don't want to simplify this very important subject. Take nothing personally. Stop it. You have to understand that when the store clerk raised their voice or they kind of threw the package down on the thing, or they were real quick with it, or they weren't smiling at you, that store clerk might have lost their mother or father that day. That store clerk might have been told that after this shift they are fired. That store clerk might have kids that's doing badly in school. That store clerk might have a family member that has COVID and they're compromised, their immune system, and they're worried. So don't take everything personally. It's somewhat arrogant to assume that everything that happens has something to do with you. That is arrogant. Remind me of the song, You're So Vain. You probably think the song is about you. You're so vain. That's what it reminds me of. There's a whole universe. People got jobs and lives outside. People don't even know you. You don't even exist to people, and you're going around taking everything people do like it's directly targeting you. It may just be that the person's mad about something that happened previously, and you're just the person who happens to come up right into that cipher. So you're catching some of the residual heat, but they don't even know you. They have no reason logically to be mad at you. So what you should be doing is saying, okay, I'm going to give this person a benefit. I know they're probably not. This is probably not directed at me. I feel disrespected, but I'm not going to make it a big issue. Say, okay, well, listen, you have a good day. As long as they're not spitting on you, cursing, hitting you, or nothing like that. Say, okay, listen, I hope you have a better day. Seems like you're going through it. Hope you have. I know I can relate because I've had them too. But I hope you have a better day. Thank you, and keep it moving. Why? Because to do otherwise, to go back and forth now with the person, that's draining, family. First of all, you can't prove that they got a problem with you. There's no way to prove it, right? And even if they do have a problem with you, what you look like staying in the supermarket for a whole 3 hours arguing with the store clerk when you got family at home, people at home, and business to take care of. Know your priority. You've just made this person your priority. Why? Because you're giving them all your time. You don't see that, do you? It's the things to which you devote your time and energy are your priorities. You can say your priorities whatever you want, but at the end of the day, who are you talking to? Where are you spending time? What are you doing with your day? You show me the things that take up the most time of your day. Those are your real priorities. That's a fact. So remember, take nothing personally. Let that stuff roll right off of you, family. Keep it moving. Keep telling yourself, I'm too big, I'm too important. I have too much on my plate. Too many people depended on me to get caught up in this foolishness. I'm not taking that personally. Some people are grumpy all the time. That's another show. That's called misery. These people have other issues going on. So they're always, at any given time of the day, they're going to be like that. And then there's some people who are just legitimately going through it right now. And their little tantrum or whatever should not be taken personally. It's draining. It's inaccurate for you to assume that it's directed at you, and it's somewhat arrogant to assume that you are the center of it, right? Okay, we can move on. Don't hold grudges, family. Please don't hold grudges. And let me put up a few comments as we go, so that y'all see that people are actually watching this and engaging. Got baby girl Brenda Hilaire with her comment, and she follows with another comment, which I agree with. And Sister Jackie So Rebel, and I want to thank her for kind of encouraging me when I was on this long hiatus. So we miss you, brother. Where you at? All right. Family, don't hold grudges. Number 2, your feelings of anger and resentment only hurts you. Remember, you feel it, not them. So you got an argument with somebody last week, 7 days ago. This 7 days later, you still huffing and puffing and rolling eyes and tight and not calling. Like, yo, for real, that is really immature on the most basic level. It's over. Why do you keep breathing the breath of life into that? People make mistakes. You make mistakes, do you not? Have you not crossed the line? Have you not made something overblown? Did you not maybe treat somebody a little bit harshly or roughly? And how would you feel if the person took that incident and now for years is holding you accountable for that thing in the past, as if people can't grow and people can't learn and be better? It's really draining. Also, it makes you bitter. And Maya Angelou, I think, really broke down the difference between anger and bitterness. She said, when you're disrespected, this and that, you have a right to be angry about it. She said, but bitterness, anger leads you to do things, to take action. Bitterness eats at you on the inside, destroys you. Nothing good comes from you being bitter, but you getting sick, you not sleeping, you not feeling well, you not getting along with nobody. That don't help you. So let that go. It's also unforgiving. And, in our community, we need a whole bunch of things. We need some land. We need some education for liberation, right? We need some loving relationships. But we need to forgive. We need to learn to forgive. We have to, because we all have offended someone. We all have dropped the ball with something. We all got places to grow. So it's kind of extending to others what you want extended to you. And also, it's keeping the past relevant. There's some things that we need to leave buried and don't keep rehashing it and bringing it up, right? So being able to forgive people, not hold them accountable for everything quote unquote wrong with them, and allow them the freedom and latitude to grow, just as you need freedom and latitude to grow. This would be like a parent hitting a kid over the head for something they did when they were 10, and the kid is now 65 years old. Like, yo, come on, let it go, right? Oh, it's the same thing. I don't think I need to belabor that. Number 3, stop the constant complaining, family. Stop it. Stop it. You can look at any so-called self-help book, motivational book, and they get into it, but I am more into the spiritual development books. They all will tell you, stop it with the constant complaining. Stop it. I also want you to think back, brothers and sisters, to those of you who had real serious discussions, not the light cosmetic stuff, but the serious discussions with your grandparents, with the elders of your family, who you knew for a fact were going through physical pain, were going through tight finances, were going through family members having died and all of that. And you would say, how you doing, Grandma and Grandpa? I want you to think about what they would say, how they would respond to that simple question. I know my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, my father's mother, who lived here in Harlem, not but 5 blocks away from me, who I knew was in constant pain, and who I knew had grown up, was orphaned at a young age, and was raised by her aunt and uncle, and went through it, family. And her answer would always be the same. Oh, baby, thanks for asking. I could be better, but I could be worse. And I tell you what, I'm so thankful. That word thankful would come out. It was predictable. Like you can bet your whole check that grandma at some point in that discussion is going to say thank you about 18 times. She understood the secret there. She understood the thinking of winners and champs. That everyone has a sob story. Everybody got a story, family. We all going through something. Some are just more severe than others. Some may have more resources than others to deal with what they're going through. But we all have a story. And everyone's story is valid because it's your story. No one can tell you your story isn't valid. Your pain doesn't mean nothing because they're not going through it. But the champs, as opposed to the chumps, understand that complaining about what you're going through all the time doesn't solve anything. It keeps your mind stuck in the pain, the lack of money, the desperation, the suffering. And suffering is not intrinsic. Suffering is a choice. Problems you all have, but suffering is a choice. You don't have to suffer. Also, constant complaining, it leads to misery. Misery is that thing, we all have those bad days, right? Where it's just we're in pain or somebody died or whatever it is. And it's just that day, or during this particular week or month, we got midterms, we got exams, we're doing whatever we're doing. We're trying to start this initiative. There's a lot of stress. And so some of us may be a little contentious, shall we say, during this period of time, a little stressed out. We get that. Then there's people who are constantly that way. See, that's not normal. That's misery. Misery is when you're stuck in a place and that no matter what happens good, there will still be something you will complain about. Somebody give you $1 million of cash, and you be talking about why you didn't give me $1 million in hundreds. You gave me 20s. That type always will find something. Somehow this gives them energy. I don't quite understand that, but that's what it is. Constant complaining puts one on the road to misery, and that's not a good place to be. Also, it kind of prevents you from being able to acknowledge the good people, the good things, the good situations, the resources, the help, the support you do have. Because you so busy, you gotta find something wrong. Pessimistic. Always something wrong. And it's funny. People say the glass half full, half empty. That's one way people look at it. Family, I was thinking the other day, there were at least 5 times in my life I could have been killed. Straight up. Two involving guns, maybe three involving guns, and then times medical issues. Straight up. Could have been 6 feet under. And every time I get into my mind even tries to go into the woe is me. When I even sense it's going there, I quickly go back to those times. I take time and I think about what happened and how miraculously I was able to get out of those situations. I think about surgery. I think about strokes, lung embolism, heart attacks. I mean, family. It's crazy. And I'm still here. That's what I focus on. I focus on, wow, there's still a small group of people I trust who trust me, who works with me despite my BS, and who I work with despite theirs. Right? I think about that. I think about the fact that I can call on people. I'm not one of these people that needs big entourages. I like keep my circle small. But if something were to happen to me, and I have thousands of people I can call like that because of decades of work with people, sincere building of relationships. Those are blessings, and I'm always gonna on the scale. I'm always gonna focus on that because when I focus on my blessings, the scale is tipped, family. The scale goes through the ground, and the problems are so minute when I focus on that. But if I just focus on the problems all day, every minute, then I'll think my whole world is over. And that's the problem with many of us. We're so focused on the problems. It's like our nose is up to the problems like this. So all we see is the problems. But if we was to back up, we would say, wow, people I can call on, people that got my back. I can get around. I can still talk, right? I can still laugh. Bills paid, money's tight, and sometimes we like, oh my God, how good? But stuff is all right. We got heat. We ain't out in the street. I come from the Jay-Z school. And then I will end this one. Jay-Z has a song. He says, I wanted to ask God, why do I deserve this? But I was afraid he would say that I deserve less. Whoa. That'll make you say, whoa, maybe I'll slow down with the complaints. And what I will do is a very easy thing you do, by the way, for this. The remedy is substitute each one of your complaints with a statement of gratitude. Or if you're going to complain, oh, this is the problem, my bill, say, well, you know what? At least I'm not in the street. I'm not out in the street. At least I'm not completely alone. At least I'm not completely destitute. So you do that, family. And here's the other thing before I move on. Yes, at a day, and a day gotta be one of my cousins because he got that powerful last name of Tyehimba, baby. A day in the building. Perspective is everything, my brother. Everything. Other thing I want to remind you, family, is even the studies. So that we know the white man needs science. He got to have science to prove everything. What other people know spiritually. Okay, so he does his scientific studies. Guess what? Science bears witness. There is a complete correlation between the extent to which someone exhibits a gratitude attitude and their ability to sleep, their relative health, their ability to deal with stress and mess when things go bad and still keep moving and still have faith. There's a correlation also between the people who don't and the negative impact it has on their bodies and their minds. So I want y'all to take this seriously. This one little thing, if you change it and tweak that and look at it differently, can change your life. 4, no unsolicited advice. I know y'all like, what is he talking about? You see the sister in the picture, she's like, she would be the person that sees you get ready to with nobody asking your input, with nobody saying, what do you think? You get ready to throw it in. Let me explain something to you. I don't think this is just a black person problem. I think it's a human thing. But I think that often when you're one of those people who's always doing it, no matter what the subject is, it could be something you know nothing about, and you have advice on it. It could be something you haven't experienced, but you're giving advice on it to other people who see this repeatedly. That may come off as the first bullet, arrogant. People may be like, "Yo, first of all, how do you weigh in on this? What do you know about this?" Number two, most importantly, I didn't ask you. Now you may say, "Well, that's kind of petty. That's small-minded." And maybe it is, but I'm talking about now human nature. Assuming that people are adults and not children, let's give people the benefit of the doubt of presuming that if they want to know something, they will seek it. If they want your perspective on something, they'll ask you. Many times, what I've found is that when people are coming to you in a conversation, they're maybe coming to you with a problem or a question they have, that they're not necessarily coming to you for an answer. They're coming to you more so as a sounding board. It's almost like they are thinking out loud and letting you eavesdrop on their thoughts. But they're not coming to you like they're going to, sit on the couch and let you pull out your pen and pad and diagnose them. No, it's not that type of thing. They come to you because maybe they trust you and they feel like they can talk to you and you'll listen to them without being judgmental, which is one of the things we're going to come up to. When you do this repeatedly, it can give the impression that you're arrogant, that you're imposing yourself on a person or on a situation that did not ask for you to do that. It can create some degree of resentment. And I think what the remedy, if there is one, is instead of feeling you got to always give somebody advice, ask questions. When you attempt to say, oh, you should do this, I think you should, don't do that. Instead of that, ask more questions. Ask questions. Ask questions. Get to know more about why they want to do something, why they feel this way, who they think is responsible. Ask more questions and do more listening. That's what you do. Okay, family? But don't be the master of all you're the jack of all trades, master of none. You got advice for everybody. The damn heart surgeon says, damn, I don't know how you you got to you gotta take the scalpel, you gotta go to the left. Nah. Stay in your lane. Show humility. Show humility. Sometimes you might even want to say some of the three greatest words on the planet that secure people can say and not feel bad about. I don't know. I don't know. That's not, I don't know anything about it. I but I do know these people know, or this organization can help, but I don't. And it's okay. It's all right. That's why we have teams, because not one person knows everything, right? 5, know when to get off stage so you don't fall off stage. Get off stage means you make a proactive choice to stand down. Proactively. Falling off stage, on the other hand, means that your inability to properly gauge a situation gets you pushed off the stage. What does this mean? My father was a key component of this. Getting off stage means when you're in a conversation with people, take the highlight and the spotlight off yourself. Put it on them. People don't want to hear everything you did and who you met and what you did. When they're coming to you, they're raising an issue, and they want to focus on themselves to understand something, right? Now, you can, of course, say, yeah, I understand that. There was a time when I was going through that too. And I kind of feel that kind of shows empathy. It kind of develops trust because somebody says, oh, they went through this too. But if you keep going with every story of what you did and went through, that now it has the negative effect. When you know how to get off the stage and spotlight other people and take it off yourself, this breaks the ice. It encourages open conversation, and you get to learn authentically about somebody else, and you develop a genuine relationship. Now, when you're pandering them, false flattering them, no, you're listening to them and you understand, okay. And what you're doing is when you do get on stage, it is not to big yourself up or recall your former glory. It's to show compatibility. I understand. No, I understand what you're saying. You don't have to feel bad because I went through that too. Let's go on. Number 6, biggie. This is a biggie. And let me show some of the different comments. I'm glad to see that there are some people here that this is information is resonating with, because it is in fact important. Please share it. It's almost over, but share it if you can. Number 6, rule of emotional intelligence. Don't be judgmental. Let me read this with the text in this graphic. Nobody is perfect, and nobody deserves to be perfect. This is funny, kind of. Nobody has it easy. Everybody has issues. You never know what people are going through. So pause before you start judging, criticizing, or mocking others. Everybody is fighting their own unique war. I'm going to say that last thing again. Everybody is fighting their own unique war. I know they look good, they smell good, they walk the perfect so-called posture, they say the right things, and they always on Facebook with the pictures of what they do and who they know. But beneath all that, when people are alone in the dark, nobody to impress and front for and primp and pander to, people are struggling with their issues. Period. Everybody. The rich, the ugly, the handsome, or everybody. Right? So acknowledging that doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. It keeps you humble, it keeps you level. So when you see somebody going off the deep end, you see somebody that's suffering, you see somebody that seems to be failing, you see somebody that's not as good as you at something, you see somebody, whatever, your inclination will be, I'm not going to make fun of them. I'm not going to badmouth them. I'm not going to mock them. Maybe, depending on your spiritual faith, whatever you may pray for them, you might take more pity. You might say, damn, that's messed up. That the way they're behaving or the way they're thinking about stuff is going to bring pain to them. And I hope they get to a place where they mature and they start looking at things and approaching things differently. That's a very mature, emotionally intelligent way to address that. instead of look at them kicking them when they're down, talking bad about them. Well, you know full well you may have been in the same. Somebody could come to you that's maybe more evolved than you and talk about your backwardsness, right? And you wouldn't like it. So you kind of take a position, and mind you, nobody here again is perfect, but we can be excellent. And one way to be on the road to that is simply to take the position when people, oh, this person, they this and they the worst thing is just to take the other side. Yeah, I understand. And some of that's been said about me, and I didn't think it was true. And maybe the person there's complexity to things. In other words, there are things you don't know or understand or see that if you did, you might have a different perspective, right? But again, this is talking about emotional intelligence, not cognitive intelligence, but emotional intelligence. And most people are not intrinsically good at it. This is something that you learn over time. You study, you get cursed out, you curse somebody out, right? You get locked up, you lose opportunities, you're not talking to 100 different people. Through all those experiences, you begin crafting an alternative way to go out into the world, you know? So just remember, have empathy for people. Don't be so quick to talk about who's not doing what, who don't measure up to you. Because guess what? You don't measure up to somebody. To other people, you may not measure up. And it's all relative. We're all trying to figure this out, family, right? Don't make assumptions about people. It may not be true. And you wouldn't want them doing that to you. And don't be arrogant. Give people some latitude to grow. Give people some type of understanding, like, yeah, I played myself quite a few times. I understand. Moving on. 7. This Godfather thing is supposed to be him. It's an animated gift, and he says, I understand. The principle is focus on understanding and being understood, not on being right. The thing with this is that when you take this approach to things, you now become non-imposing. As a liberation coach, as an Africana studies scholar and student, I'm constantly dealing with these issues of hegemony, domination, colonization, imperialism. These are all forms of people or organizations imposing themselves, telling you what holiday to celebrate, how you should dress, what language you should use, what religion or God you should pray to. And there's something about us human beings, we just don't like people doing that, whether it's a government, an organization, or a person. So when you come off more like, nah, I'm not trying to convert you to the way I see things. I'm not trying to be right about it. This is just my take. Take it or leave it. I'm not expecting you to agree or it's no biggie. Like the sun is still going to shine, waters will still flow, whether you agree with me or not. No problem. Right? It's not imposing. It's also creates the atmosphere where we're not competing to see who has the better point. It also tends to build relationships with people, not enemies. I was just on this show with some brothers out in Atlanta, some Garveyites, um, Pan African nationalists, younger brothers, mostly 30s and 40 somethings. Very productive show. And there were points where we disagreed because I was kind of coming with a few unconventional thoughts. And there were points where we disagreed. I said, I don't know about that, brother. It was like, no, it's all good. It's all right. It's because we're not here to agree or disagree. We're here to share points of view, understand them, chop it up, leave here, and maybe introduce some of these new points of view into our lives. Or think more about what the person said to maybe retool some of what we think. But it's not a competitive thing. It's not like I'm trying to one up you. And because I came in that spirit, it changed the whole dynamic of that show. So now it's not like, because I'm the older guy, right? I'm in New York, they're in Atlanta. So it's a lot of that sort of dynamic. But it was like, nah, it's all good. I'm learning from y'all. I hear you. And some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, but it's okay. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand why you think that. That builds relationships. So at the end, they're like, brother, we want you back. We got to, yeah, and I want to be back. because it wasn't a thing where we just, all we doing is sitting up shooting and throwing knives and choking each other out. We're there actually building and can be mature enough to appreciate this person sees it differently, but I can understand how they see that. No problem. That's what that's about. Number 8, something that I am still meditating on myself. And actually, all of these I'm still working on. But number 8, hurting others is never okay. Never. Now, I was one of the people that would say, well, there's a caveat to that. No, if they completely ignorant, if they family, hurting people is never okay. The only way that that's okay is in the extreme circumstance that somebody is literally physically trying to hurt you. Other than that, going around calling people names, making accusations, blaming and shaming them, trying to humiliate them, trying to literally try and go out your way to make them feel bad is not okay. It's not. And I know it was done to you, and I know it was done to me, and I know we did it to each other, but it was wrong. It was wrong. Why? Because even if you're telling somebody something uncomfortable, even if you're telling somebody something that could be hurtful, there's a way to do that in a way where it is not intentionally hurting them, is what I'm saying. It's your intention here. If you're saying something to hurt somebody, that's what I'm talking about. You're going to always inadvertently hurt people, but you may not mean to. But then there's a way you do things, a way you say things, certain lines you don't cross, right? So, number 1, when you are the type of person that's, oh, no matter what, I'm gonna lash, I'm gonna say whatever, I'm gonna do whatever, it promotes resentment, as it should, as it naturally will. 2, it provokes vindictiveness. No one likes being hurt, and people will find a way to quote get you back. Some people are the passive aggressive types. They'll do it in a slick way. Other people will you come in and there'll be knives in your door, or you come in. It's a bunch of different things, but it provokes vindictiveness as no one enjoys being hurt, and people deal with being hurt differently because people have been traumatized differently in their lives, and it's unresolved, or because people have varying degrees of maturity. So you don't know how things come back, but every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But probably one of the most important parts of this is simply that it causes damage to others. It causes people to hurt. It causes people to doubt themselves, causes people to not trust others. It causes people to not believe in themselves. It may cause people to do things to prove themselves to others that are harmful to them or does not help them or anyone else. Kids are good for this. I dare you, trying to push people to do stuff, and people, you're trying to do something to prove something to somebody else, and now you get hurt trying to do it. And so one of the key things with emotional intelligence is you working on being in a place where you never want to intentionally hurt somebody. Though you understand life being complicated is that sometimes you might hurt people, but it was not your intention. You tried to take measures to not hurt them, right? So that's kind of a different case. But that's something it's never okay, family. Never okay. And I have to tell you, being a warrior spirit type and somebody, what? I'm like, what? This is tough, but it's real. It's real. Hurting somebody is never okay. Last and not least, be no respecter of persons. Emotional intelligence rules. My rules are simple. Treat everyone fairly, treat everyone with respect. Everyone, not the good looking people, not the people that make you laugh, not the people that share your interests, not the people that grew up where you grew up, not the people that are your gender, not the people, no, that share your politics. Everyone, everyone with respect. Genuine basic respect. That don't mean you doing flips and cartwheels for nobody, family. It just means that you can say good morning. It's the way most of us were raised. Good morning. When you see somebody, you greet them. At your job, you greet them. You see somebody needs some help and you can help them. You say, do you need some help? Right? Basic stuff that we were taught as children, hopefully. To not be this way means you are shallow and unfair. To not be this way means you are fake and phony. And to not be this way means that you believe in, promote, and you encourage double standards. Be no respecter of persons, by the way, is a Christian biblical reference. There are different verses in the Bible that's talking about God is no respecter of persons. And all it really means is that there are no favorites. You're not one of those people that's you real cool with the people who are in the music industry and you are terrible with other people. Or you real cool with your people, your clique, and you're real cold and indifferent with everyone else. Or you're real cool with everybody who agrees with your politics, wears dashikis like you, speaks Swahili like you, but you're kind of aloof with everybody else. It means that you give people the general respect. And I want to be real clear. This don't mean that you're a liar. It doesn't mean you represent yourself dishonestly. You don't pander. You don't flatter. You don't tell people lies you don't believe just to be cool with them. It means that you can give people the basic. That you give them that basic consideration as a fellow human being on this earth. And this includes the crackers too. Everybody give them basic respect, family. Basic respect. Now, there'll be times when people may not return that, and then you're going to have to make a decision yourself as to how you deal with it. But I'm saying initially, you just give people basic respect. Don't be one of these people that, the only person that gets your love and respect, your attention, is somebody famous. A lot of people, if some famous person says it, Kanye West says it, everybody, what do you say? Right? Your little nephew, cousin, whatever says it, you ain't paying that no mind because they're not important to you. Don't be that type. Treat everybody the same. And if people did that, let me tell you, that alone would make things a lot better. A lot better. Everybody's life. We wouldn't have to wear shirts that said Black Lives Matter. Mm? It wouldn't even be that discussion. That would be understood. Family, I hope that this has been helpful, therapeutic, and educational. And I want to repeat what I said at the beginning because I know our people. If you come away from this with any negative feeling, you got the wrong message. The message here is not to beat up on us. I have said in the beginning of this broadcast, and will repeat, and have said throughout it, that I, maybe more than others, have to kind of get all of these rules myself and master them myself, and I'm working diligently every day to do so. So it's not like beating nobody up. It's saying I know that we struggle with these things because I know who taught us and how they did it and why. But it's to say that knowing is half the battle. And if we can be honest with ourselves and commit to, I'm going to improve my, emotional intelligence the same way we say my vocabulary is weak, my knowledge of global history is weak. I don't know what stuff is in the world. So I'm going to get a map and I'm going to get a dictionary. I'm going to improve that. It's the same thing, except it's your emotional intelligence now. I'm going to improve my empathy. I'm going to know when to shut my mouth. I'm going to know when not to keep pursuing something. I'm going to know when to let things be. I'm going to know when to let something go and move on and not hold a grudge. I'm going to know how to not take that personally and let it roll off, continue my day, and get my sleep and feel all right with my day. I'm not going to carry baggage. If anyone does not understand this, one of the ways you can get a little a better understanding is go listen to and watch the video for Erica Badu's song "Bag Lady." Now, of course, she genderizes it, but there is no gender to it, family. It's bag man and bag lady. But listen to her words. Listen to what she's describing. Somebody that's holding them down. It ain't helping them. It's holding them down. Let it go, family. I hope it's been helpful. Don't forget, got that book, Grassroots Organizing and Leadership, family, coming out during Black History Month. Hope that we've had a good time. I've had a good time. Thank you all for your time and energy. And we are out. Peace.